afternoon. Back in our lovely palatial states. This is Patrick showing up again. I checked out last week. I had a little bit of daddy duty that got me literally hands full of duty. So I'm back. We're going to talk about the NFL draft today. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much. How are you?
Good. We are back in our palatial estates here in lovely Boca Raton, Florida. It is 82 degrees and beautiful. I happen to see shots of live draft parties around the country this week where people were still in hat and gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
Screw you Northerners. Come down here and
enjoy the sunshine.
Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy the palm trees, the lovely sunshine. So we're going to spend today basically just talking about the NFL draft.
Good with me.
We're going to talk about a little bit of our two favorite teams. We're going to talk about a little bit of our look at the quarterbacks drafted. Obviously, the most important position is quarterback, and some of the more questionable human interest stories, whether they matter, they don't matter, and we'll play another game of like we did last time. Does it matter? Instead of talking about ESPN and their god awful stories, like I saw this week, a story about. I saw a story this week about a man hitting some kind of animal on a course again. The second PGA Tour story of a golfer hitting a live animal, which obviously I don't think anybody gives a flying fuck about. We're going to actually talk about that. So, in honor of what ESPN used to be, Mike and Mike, when it used to be a decent sports show.
That was a great sports show. I can't believe they broke that up.
They used to start their NFL draft coverage with one of my favorite draft songs. And I think it might be a good idea to talk about how teams take a chance on several people. So, without further ado, let's get started on some NFL draft talk. So, yeah, first overall pick was quarterback.
Baker
Mayfield.
Walk-on. He was a walk-on at, I think it was Texas Tech, and then he went to Oklahoma, walked on there, became a Heisman Trophy winner, and now is the number one pick of the draft and gets to go join LeBron, at least for a couple of months, to see what he does this summer in Cleveland. What do you think of Baker to the Browns, number one overall?
I think Baker's career is over.
Because he's going to Cleveland?
Because you're going to Cleveland. I think Baker Mayfield is a conundrum of a guy. Because he is everything that I disliked about Johnny Manziel. Everything I disliked. He's obnoxious. He comes from a well-to-do family. He gets in people's faces. He is incredibly a memey guy. However, the one difference is that I think he can actually play quarterback.
I think a big difference between Baker and Johnny Manziel, I think Baker loves football. I think Johnny Manziel used football for fame and for fortune and to get his name out there so he can get the girls and get the money and get the drugs and whatever else he wants.
You beat me to the drug point. I think he's got a criminal past. Let's not forget about that. No, Baker Mayfield. But his criminal past is just being stupid and running from a cop.
Right, he was just being a immature child and making bad decisions,
and spending time around enough kids, knowing that when authority comes to call, a lot of the kids run.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know that you can really hold his past against him. I think his decision making is fine. I think he's got the right size and he's got the right arm. He's going to a very, very tough place to win in Cleveland.
He's got some talent there. They brought in Jarvis Landry. They got Josh Gordon, the best Stephen A. Smith voice. If he could just stay off the weed.
Yes.
He'd be a great receiver.
Yes, he's got
Carlos Hyde. I think they drafted the guy from Georgia, Nick Chubb, later in the draft. So they got some talent. We'll see if Hugh Jackson's the right guy for that job, but he's got talent to work with.
As a Ravens fan, it's been nice knowing that occasionally the Browns come up and bite us, but usually the Ravens can sweep them. Usually Ravens can sweep them, and so it's usually a layup in terms of a game. I think he's far better than any of the quarterbacks they had last year.
Do you think he starts right away? They got Tyrod Taylor, who did lead Buffalo to the playoffs last year.
I think Taylor will start, but I think Taylor will get hurt. He always gets hurt. And I think you'll see Baker Mayfield take over. Now, the good thing for the Browns is this. Their offense can be the same between both quarterbacks.
Right.
Their offense can be a mobile quarterback type offense. A read and react, almost that RPO crap, that run pass option they play in college a lot. I think It should be good for them.
It's a lot of pressure on Hugh Jackson. What's his record? 1-31 in 2 years.
1-31.
They got this pick wrong. He's going to be done. He's got no more chances. This is.
Well, see, I don't think in Cleveland it's a talent issue. I've believed for the longest time what really hurt Cleveland more than anything else, time and time again, was the fact that they're Cleveland.
Right.
Was the fact they can't get out of their own way. They've had some great coaches. Butch Davis was a great coach. They had
Pat Shurmur is now in New
Shurmur
York.
wasn't bad. He was only there for a year.
They don't give anyone a chance.
Chudzinski was there for a year.
Was he even a full year? I don't know. Who's the guy they just pet him? Was only there for a year and a half.
Yeah, but I didn't think he was all that bad. So I think in the end, I don't think that that it's really a positional type thing. I think Cleveland did pretty well. I'll be honest with you. I think the best quarterback of the draft, and I think that he took some unfair beating, is Josh Rosen.
I agree. I think he was the best quarterback in the draft. I was sitting there praying he would fall to the Dolphins. I was so upset when Arizona jumped in front of us to take him. He's got the skill. He's a little cocky guy. I think he said something like, all teams that passed on me are making a mistake.
Yep.
He's a cocky kid,
Yep.
which I think is a good thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with cocky. He wants to win. He's motivated. He comes from a very wealthy family. I believe some people are scared off by that. But I think Josh Rosen's going to be the best quarterback in the draft. And he's coming to a pretty good situation in Arizona. Larry Fitzgerald there to mentor him. David Johnson in the backfield. Not a bad spot for Josh Rosen.
No. I think that it brought up an interesting topic about the way that football operates. I teach a very football-heavy high school. And you get to know football as well as I played in high school. I coached high school ball. And now I go to a school where football is king. Football is a sport that today is dominated by I hate to say this, but by a lot of kids that come from not the best means, that have a chip on their shoulder, very athletic kids. It's a minority-driven sport today. And Rosen comes from a very well-to-do family. He's very arrogant. He took a beating for coming from a well-to-do family.
Which I don't think it's fair.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's not his fault that he came from a wealth.
Not at all. And there's no reason that someone who comes from that background can't be a good player. I think his arrogance, can help him a little bit. I think it could also hurt him a little bit. I think the one team that's going to be more let down than anybody else is the Jets with Darnold.
See, I heard a lot of different opinions. I have friends with a few Jets fans. Some of them are over the moon excited about this pick. And I have one friend who was livid. He said, why would you take another USC quarterback? I'm in the belief it doesn't matter what school he came from. If he can play, he can play. I'm not a Darnold guy. He fits the Jets scheme very well. He's a turnover machine, just like the Jets like it.
That's exactly my point.
I fit right in with the Jets.
I think he's going to try. I think Josh Arnold. I think Josh Allen reminds me of Colt McCoy a little bit.
I'm not a Josh Allen guy.
Or not Colt McCoy. What was his name? The kid who played in Hawaii about 5 or 6 years ago.
Colt Brennan.
I think he reminds me of a Colt Brennan type who was in a very, very, very good situation in college.
But he wasn't great in college. I was looking at his numbers. He didn't win. He was like 8-6 at Wyoming.
Correct.
And he
got hurt.
Yeah, he's not.
He got hurt. I think he would have had a very good situation had Tyrod Taylor not left Buffalo, because he could have sat back and learned. I don't know off the top of my head the depth chart in Buffalo for quarterbacks.
I think they brought in the kid from Alabama, not McElroy. He was the old
McCarron, A.J. McCarron.
Yeah.
So I think McCarron could be okay. I think A.J. McCarron, a couple times he came in for what I consider to be the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, the Red Rocket there in Cincinnati.
Don't get me started on them with that coach. He should have been gone.
They're all awful. But Dalton, I think A.J. McCarron is good. I think he's got excellent taste in women.
Catherine.
Oh my God,
Catherine Whitlock.
Even what was the old guy?
Brent
Musburger, who just basically needed a towel after talking about his girlfriend and when he was in college. But I think McCarron got lucky to have guys like A.J. Green to throw to.
He doesn't have that.
He doesn't have that in Buffalo. They had their best receivers now in Los Angeles.
Right.
So I think he's in a very difficult situation.
As a Dolphins fan, I'm not sweating and scared over Josh Allen. I think it's great he could go 70 yards standing straight. That's impressive. But if you have no idea where the hell the ball's going, 70 yards doesn't mean much if it could end up out of the stadium or into the other team's hands.
You know who could throw the ball 70 yards standing straight was Kyle Bowler. And as a Ravens fan, I'm very familiar with Kyle
It
Bowler.
doesn't mean anything. You can throw it 70. You can throw a Hail Mary. It's good.
Exactly. He threw the ball from the 30-yard line, the opposite 30-yard line, from his knees to the goal
It's
post.
impressive, but was it accurate?
No, not
See,
at
it
all.
doesn't matter.
So-
I'd rather an accurate guy who can't throw 70 yards than a...
The one I am most excited about, and obviously this is a little selfish on my part, is Lamar Jackson. I am very, very excited about him. Flacco is going to cost the Ravens, I think it's either $26 or $28 million on the 2019 salary cap. Based off of the salary cap is moving, you're looking at something around 25 to 35% of your cap in one guy. You can't be successful that way.
You got to spread it out and get players all over the field. I saw your Facebook status. You were pissed at the beginning of the draft. Then you were like, I want Lamar. When you traded up, you got Lamar.
They kept
something.
trading back. The Ravens do that every year. If you look at the last 5 or 6 drafts
They
the
trade
Ravens
back.
have had, they collect 3rd and 4th round picks. They almost never pick in the 2nd round.
Nerve-wracking. It's great.
It's awful.
If you hit on those 3rd and 4th round picks, it's not bad. But if you're not hitting on them,
And
take a
hello,
picture.
we all wake up early the next morning for work. And when we're ready for the pick 16th and they keep moving back and back, sorry, it pisses me off. I want to go to bed. So I think he could be really, really good.
He's a stud.
I teach with one of the guys that coached him when he was at Boynton Beach High School.
He's a South Florida kid.
He is, so I think it's a nice little local story. I'm excited to see what he's able to accomplish. After him, you got Mason Rudolph that went to Pittsburgh
I like
in the 3rd
Mason
round.
Rudolph.
There's nobody else that I know. Literally, I looked at
I
the
know
names.
Mike White because he went to USF for a little while.
Okay, I don't know him.
And I know Quentin Flowers. He didn't get drafted, but he went to USF. He's a great college player. I don't know if I had a class with him, so I'm rooting for him.
I don't know
but
who Kyle Lauletta
He's
is.
supposed to be good. Never watched him play. He went to a small school.
Luke Falk played for
Washington
the
State.
Zombies and Pirate guy up in
He's hysterical.
Leach. Leach is funny as hell. Tanner Lee went to Nebraska, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Danny Etling,
He went to New England. I think.
he modeled his career, he said, off of Tom Brady.
That makes
And he
sense.
was the 199th overall pick, just like Tom Brady was the 199th overall pick. And good job on ESPN once again writing a pointless piece about how that means they're similar. It has
I saw that. I
absolutely.
was watching the draft on ESPN. All they were talking. I think if he's 199 and he's 199, they gotta be the same.
And
Just because Brady was great at 199.
so I don't know any of these other quarterbacks. I think the biggest reach of the draft, and I know people will tell me that I'm crazy, is Barkley.
Oh yeah, I think you're crazy.
You draft a running back when he is that at that high, the 2nd overall pick. He better be a 2,000-yard runner.
You know who I think made a really good pick? Denver. Bradley Chubb for the DN from
Yeah.
North Carolina State fell to them.
Yes,
Put him opposite Von Miller.
yes.
Good. Who's in that division? I'm trying to think. Who's
And San
Oakland
Diego's are not very good. Oakland, we'll see.
and Kansas City?
In Kansas City,
You better get some offensive linemen in that division because Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, they're going to be coming at your quarterback all game long.
I think an underrated back is Rashad Penny from San Diego State.
Dolphins took it back at some point.
Kalen Ballage. I have no idea.
I heard he's supposed to be good at it.
State. I think there's some promise with a couple of these backs. My question is, what the hell happened to the wide receiver position? There was only 2 wideouts picked in the 1st round, and then there was a little bit of run in the 2nd round. But we only had, before the start of the 4th round, we had 2, 4, 6, 8. We had 11 receivers picked in the first 3 rounds. I never remember a draft
Yeah, I'm looking at
where
it.
there was that little value put on wide receivers.
It was DJ Moore from Maryland, went 24 to Carolina, and Calvin Ridley went from Alabama, went 26 to Atlanta. Speaking of that, do you think that means, because I see some stuff with Julio Jones getting upset in Atlanta, do you think they're going to play them both together? Do you think they're going to look to move Julio?
No, Julio's not going anywhere.
That's going to be a good receiving core.
Yeah, that's a really good receiving core. And as much as I used to fight the Flacco versus Ryan battle because they were the only 2 quarterbacks picked in the 2008 draft in the 1st round, I'm starting to. I flipped my script a few years ago. I definitely think Ryan's a better quarterback.
Don't get me started on that. My Dolphins draft really screwed that up. They took Jake Long #1 over Matt Ryan.
But
I'm still struggling from that.
But you know what? In hindsight, offensive linemen go early because if you can put 2 or 3 good offensive linemen in front of a decent quarterback or an okay quarterback, they can tend to survive someone all right.
The problem with the Dolphins is they can never find even an all right quarterback.
Well, yeah, that's
the offensive line.
You need a guy that can do it. So I mean, and then obviously Calvin Ridley, who there was some question marks about before he got picked. I mean, the receivers obviously eventually they go on runs in the 4th and 5th round and 6th round and so on and so forth. But I was surprised that there was such a lack of attention. Another local guy, Traquan Smith from Delray, played at Village Academy. So he's a guy that looks like there might be some potential for some success. There was a few good tight ends. Speaking of tight end, the fact that Philadelphia picked a guy named Dallas.
That was funny.
In front of the Cowboy fans was great.
Did you see David Akers go up and troll all the Cowboy fans in the stadium?
Yes, we are going to get into David Akers shortly.
Funny.
We're going to get into him shortly.
While we're talking on receiver, I just want to give a shout out to a guy I had a class with at USF who got picked, I believe, in the 5th round by Green Bay. Marquez Valdez Spalding, big receiver, fast guy, dominated at USF. Marquez, your former classmate and project partner, is pulling for you. Go kill it up in Green Bay. Best of luck to you and all the USF guys.
That was a cool thing this year with where these kids came from. As I looked at it, it was interesting to me to see how many guys came from schools in Florida that were not UF, Miami, or South Florida. There was a bunch of guys from FIU. There was guys from USF, UCF.
And not many a couple of FSU guys.
You know, the talent base in this state on a college football level has spread out amazingly.
Even some FAU kids got picked up as undrafted free agents.
Exactly. So they're getting pulled now from around the area. We have a couple kids at my school that are going to FIU to play baseball and football next year. So they're starting to really pick up their recruitment efforts and some of the more talented guys down here in Florida.
There's so many of them. All these schools can grab them.
Oh, most definitely.
What do you think of the Dolphins pick at 11, Minkah Fitzpatrick?
Well, let's look at both of our teams. Let's look first at the Dolphins. I think Minkah could be a great player. I think he's got great hands. He reminds me of a kind of a hybrid between a Champ Bailey and a Champ Bailey type with sort of an Ed Reed kind of ability about himself.
I'm all for that.
And I'm not saying that he's going to be those two guys, but he's got the ability to play 3 of the 4 backfield positions. He's got the ability to play both corners, and he's got the ability to play free safety.
Now, once college football season comes around, I'll start getting into my thoughts on Nick Saban, but I don't like him at all. But I can't deny he develops really good players, and Minkah was one of his favorites. I think he called him his son. He loves Minkah Fitzpatrick. As much as I hate Nick Saban, if he approves of his D-back, I think Miami made a great pick there. 2nd round, I was talking to Pat and some of the other guys in the studio before the show. Mike Gesicki, the tight end from Penn State, I was saying, usually if a young kid gets drafted to Miami, they should stay single. You saw a picture of his girlfriend.
Yes.
He might be okay with his girl for a couple.
Definitely a good-looking woman, to say the least. She's definitely fit.
On the football end, Mike Gesicki, receiving tight end, something the Dolphins desperately need. Adam Gase likes to throw the ball up to the tight ends in the red zone, and that is what Mr. Gesicki does best. And then the Dolphins took a linebacker, which we all know they need. Jerome Baker, another tight end. The only thing the Dolphins did that I didn't agree with, I thought they had a really good draft. My only complaint was they didn't take a quarterback. Buffalo got what they think is their quarterback of the future. The Jets got what they believe is their quarterback of the future. New England took a quarterback. I don't know if Eitling will turn out to be anything. But Gase, Greer, and Tannenbaum must really believe Tannehill's knee is okay. They must really believe in Ryan. Because, man, not to have a young quarterback to be there for insurance scares the living hell out of me. But I'm not a football expert, so I'll let them make that decision.
I'll be honest with you. If they can run the ball like they have over the past 3 or 4 years, and they continue to play defense like they have over the last few years, they can win 9 or 10 games and be a wild card contender. And I think we talked about in the previous show that the expectations of Dolphins fans is just to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Would be a very successful season. I don't think they're a title-winning team anytime soon.
Because they don't have a franchise. They're missing a lot of pieces. No linebackers. Hopefully this kid they drafted turns into something. And the guy they get back who was hurt last year, McMillan.
Yeah, keep building it. You just keep building it.
I think you need that young quarterback just in case Ryan's knee goes. He's tore his ACL both 2 years in a row. If it goes out again, I don't want Jay Cutler coming back from the booth to be our quarterback. That was a disaster last year.
You know, the other teams in their division, New England did all right. Got a couple of Georgia guys. You know, you said they got a quarterback. He's probably not somebody who we really have to be all that, you know, concerned about anytime soon. It looks like Brady wants to play a couple more years. The Jets did what the Jets normally do. They grabbed a quarterback.
How many quarterbacks do they have?
They had a ton. You know, I think they could take their quarterbacks and they could replace the New York Knicks and they would have enough to play most NBA games. You know, they didn't have many picks. I think they only picked 6 or 7 guys, so it was a rather short draft for the Jets. Lots of 6th-round picks, so it's probably going to be a lot of undrafted free agents that have a chance to make the team. And then Buffalo, quite frankly, I thought Buffalo was one of the biggest losers during the off season, only because they let Taylor go.
I like Taylor.
I thought he was good. You know, I think the Bills. I think they have the recipe for success. Just like I was talking about with the Dolphins, you run the ball, you play defense, and they'll be fine. I think the Ravens, being the team that I root for, I think they had a pretty solid draft. They talked about getting weapons for Joe. They got him 2 receivers, 2 tight ends. They got him 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen. So they went offense heavy. Last year they went defense heavy, and the defense was pretty good. The only need that I didn't think they really attacked was a guard on this side of Yanda. Marshall Yanda is the best offensive lineman in the NFL.
Yeah, he's good.
But they have no other guard on the other side of him, so I think that's something they're going to definitely have to get together. Cleveland is Cleveland. I will never fear Cleveland until they win 6 games at least twice in a row. I think they're a joke of a franchise. I think they're a joke of a joke of a team, a joke of a city. So I don't really scare. They don't scare me.
Wait till LeBron leaves this summer. They're going to really be a joke of a city. Or if they lose today in Game 7.
Cincinnati did pretty good on defense. They had a couple good defensive backs. I think the center they picked up the center they picked up from Ohio State is very good.
Cincinnati will never win with Marvin Lewis.
No, they need a new coach.
I don't know why. They gave him an extension. I want that guy's job. Suck at your job and keep getting more years to do it. That must be nice.
I think Pittsburgh did pretty good. I think Terrell Edmonds, he's got an NFL history in his family, so I think they should be pretty good.
His brother went to Buffalo.
Exactly. His father played for the Jets and a couple other teams back in the very early 90s. We talked about Mason Rudolph a little bit. I don't think he's the guy that's going to follow Big Ben, but they don't have a backup for Big Ben right now that they can trust. So I think that's probably a good pick to bring him on. One of the only 2 fullbacks in the draft went to Pittsburgh, so that shows you how much of a premium they put on running the ball and protecting the ball and protecting the quarterback. You know, I don't think really any teams really blew it out of the water. You know, I'll throw one team out there that I thought really did really well, sneaky, and that's the Redskins. Getting a guy like Darius Geis at the end of the 2nd round. Darius Geis, in my opinion, could be better than Leonard Fournette.
That's what I heard. I heard he's real. Isn't he the one from the behavioral issue from
exactly?
LSU, yeah.
But if Washington can handle that behavior issue, I think they got a hell of a steal in him. I think another team that I thought did really well was New Orleans. They went ahead and really tried to bolster their team in terms of picking specific needs. I thought they did pretty well. And I think the other team that I thought really had a purpose in the draft, that really went out and got it, was the Colts.
They got their guard to protect Mr. Locke.
They picked 2 guards in the first 37 picks of the draft.
They needed it.
They needed it because Luck gets his ass beat. But I think, you know, what I wanted to talk about, and this is where we're going to hit our one of my favorite segments that we added a couple weeks ago, is we're going to play a game called Does It Matter? And if the DJ in the room will be kind enough to get us started here to be able to get rolling, and it would help if the DJ here wasn't incredibly slow on the uptake. We're going to play a game called Does It Matter or Does It Not Matter? Does it matter or does it not matter? I'm going to read off some topics and headlines, and we'll see if it matters. Now, most of this stuff is not player-oriented. Most of this stuff is sort of the bullshit that comes from the draft.
See, I'm a softie. I like that stuff, so it's going to be interesting.
I don't.
I like that.
So, first off, Shaquem Griffin, does he matter?
Okay. This USF, my USF friends don't hate me. I know I went to USF. We're supposed to hate UCF. But I love Shaquem Griffin. I'm pulling for him. Right now he matters because he's the story. He's got the one hand. He's going to play with his twin brother, all that stuff. Right now he matters. If he goes into Seattle and does nothing for his first 3 or 4 years, he won't matter anymore. Right now he matters just because of the story, the inspiration he gives to people. I saw a video of a little girl, UCF fan, wearing a UCF cheerleader's outfit with one hand also, doing like backflips and gymnastics shit. I think that was really cool the way she like, thanks him for making her inspired to do what she wants to do even with one hand. So I'd say right now he matters. If he doesn't pan out in a couple of years, then he'll fade away and he won't matter anymore.
I'm going to make a very unpopular statement.
Oh boy.
Very unpopular statement. He does not matter. Okay? Yes, he has one hand. How many guys in the pros do you see when they break a hand or wrist, they have their arm wrapped in a club?
A lot of them.
All the time. Okay? And they still can play rather good. What matters when you play football is your ability to get from, especially on defense, can you get from sideline to sideline? Can you get up the field? Can you shed a block? And can you attack the ball carrier? This reminded me, and I'm not trying to draw comparisons. I'm not a homophobe. This reminded me of the big deal about Michael Sam. It's like, oh, what an inspiration. Oh, look at that. He kissed his boyfriend. They shared a piece of cake. Oh, this is such a wonderful story. The dude fizzled out in less than 6 games.
I agree with that one. If you don't play well, the story goes away.
So
you got to show up.
So Shaquem Griffin will matter if we're in November
and he's
stripping the ball from a quarterback in a late season game against the Cardinals or the 49ers or the Rams. Because he's going to Seattle.
Right.
So that will matter. I'm not trying to say that the guy isn't inspirational because he is. And I saw the same picture of the little girl without a hand. I thought it was adorable. As a father, if my son sees someone that he looks up to, that's going to mean something to me. All right, so I'm not trying to be heartless, but on a nuts and bolts football perspective, can the guy play? He played in the American Conference. This is the SEC. He dominated it, and I'm not hating on USF either. Listen,
I'm a UM fan.
In terms of college football, the team I root for the most is Navy. So Navy is in that conference with those other teams. So obviously, I can get down with the American Conference.
They beat, who'd they beat?
Beat Auburn.
They kicked Auburn around.
They beat Auburn up. So I tend to think that he could do it, but I don't know.
We'll have to see.
I don't know.
He's in a good spot.
That it matters as much as other people think
he's
that it could.
I think he's in the perfect spot. So.
I think that, the other thing I will be completely honest with you about. I think that I think he fits that human interest that the NFL lives for. As much as we want to pretend that football is all for men our age, the advertisers care about women 18 to 45. And when you can play that heartfelt story for those people, they tend to watch your sport more, they get into it more, and I think that it could very well be a win for them. Now, to keep up with our game show theme, number 2, a parrot chooses the Bucs pick. I'm sorry, you can go after me. This is stupid.
I agree.
There's some guest pickers we're going to talk about in a second that are rather nice stories. A parent making a pick for a team is stupid.
It's the most relevancy the Bucs have had, and since John Gruden was there.
It's ridiculous. It is literally
stupid.
Ridiculous and stupid.
It's lazy. They have nothing else. They have no one to. I don't understand. It makes no sense. Not important. It doesn't matter.
Now, my team had Ryan Odom, the coach of UMBC, make their pick
That's
in the
cool.
third round. That's neat in the perspective of me saying, look at the attention UMBC continues to get on national teams. Whoa, there goes my phone blowing up. Tends to get a national perspective. However, on the flip side, I miss the Saturday-Sunday format where the commissioner did Saturday and the deputy commissioner did Sunday. And you busted it all day Saturday and you busted it all day Sunday and you were done.
They had to get it prime time on Thursday night.
And if that's what you do, that's fine. But let's stop it with these guest pickers, except for one. From now on, every time a draft is in a city, they need to find somebody to make a pick.
You're going with
The pick needs to go something like this.
Indianapolis Colts have traded the 49th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. To announce the Philadelphia Eagles selection, please welcome, from the University of Louisville, kicker David Akers. What's up, Dallas? Kicker's trolling the Cowboys. Last year. I like standing up here before you as an undrafted free agent, representing that shield for 15 years. Tonight, I'm representing the Philadelphia Eagles, NFC East champs, divisional champs, NFC champs, and world champs. The world champs.
Wait for it.
Dallas.
Wait for it.
Last time you were in the Super Bowl, these draft picks weren't born.
That was the best part of the whole draft.
Woo! Now,
That was so funny.
when I heard that, the first thing I thought of was the 1812 overture. When you hear da na 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 na, and I heard fireworks going off, and I love it. Listen, I don't hate the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people do.
I do.
I don't. I remember when they were really good. I've always had an affinity for Jimmy Johnson. I don't have any problem with the Dallas Cowboys.
That was funny.
But when you go troll somebody that hard
In their building.
and you're a fucking kicker,
In their building.
God bless them, man. God bless them.
That was my favorite part of the draft. He went up into Dallas in their stadium where Jerry Jones had to be sitting in there somewhere. And just and I just love listening to all the Cowboy fans boo the hell out of him. And he's still going right at it, strong, he's loud. He was passionate, had no doubt about it. He trolled the living hell out of every Cowboy fan out there. And it's all true. Nothing he said was not true.
All right.
That was the best part.
Next thing, doesn't matter. Different cities hosting the draft every year.
Doesn't matter. I think it's cool.
You think it's cool?
Yeah, I think it's cool. Move it around. Get every city a chance to have their fans attend it.
I kind of liked it when it was in New York.
Radio City Music.
Yeah, because it was consistent. It was the same thing every year. But I'm with you. Getting different fans in front of the
I think it's cool.
camera.
You know what I thought was cool? They had like a bunch of sections on the field for each fan base.
Yeah.
That was cool.
You see what they did with the fans, though? They moved them up to the walkway every time their team
Right, they
picked.
got a selfie with the player.
So, like, they moved them around.
That was cool. They did a good job.
It was brilliant.
Yeah,
No, they
smart.
really did well with that. The last thing that I'll throw out, and this does matter. I think Ross is one of the worst owners in the NFL.
I hate that guy.
I think Miami fans are screwed. The only ownership group down here that I really think consistently does a pretty good job is Aronson with the Heat.
Yeah.
And I think the Panthers, even though they don't win a lot,
They're getting there.
they do a lot of good things for their fans.
They're getting there.
The Marlins and the Dolphins are like Moses in the desert. They're lost, and they can't.
I was
do
at the
that.
Marlins game last night. They actually have a thing. It's like, give your opinion to the ownership group.
Yeah.
You go in a little booth. They ask you a question. They're like, what do you think of the stadium? Like, the stadium's great. Your team needs to get better. You need to close the roof so we're not sweating our asses off every time we step in the building.
But to close this out, Ross did something really well by bringing kids from the
That was
Douglas
awesome.
football team, and not just them, the family
daughter
of
of
the
the
guy
coach, yeah.
that died.
That was awesome.
I think that combination together is the right way to use this. There was a cancer patient that I think made a pick for one of the NFC teams. I forgot which one it was. That's the good use of this
Platform.
guest picker platform. That's when some of these idiot franchises make these contests, and if you win a contest, you make a pick.
There's a reason. There should be a
There should
reason.
be a reason.
Those
to be
Douglas, I
asked
think what
to
they
do
put
it.
the seniors of Stoneman Douglas football team. That's awesome.
Around the podium. And,
That's awesome.
And they fed the kids, and the kids hung out at their training
Facility.
facility all day.
That's
and
cool.
That to me
Good job, Dolphins.
is what
You did something right.
is
Good
what
work.
this is all about. So, I think this year's draft, I think went off, rather well for most teams. I think we now have a football dead period till around the beginning of June. We start having some of these mini camps. Until then, there's baseball and a little bit of basketball, and a little bit of hockey, but I think we're going to wrap it up for this week's NFL draft conversation. As always, anybody wants to comment, please, like it, don't like it, think we've said something bad, think we've said something good, throw it out there. I mean, in the end, our podcast is driven by what you guys have to say. So
Keep yourselves in the loop. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow, hit like, hit share. Let us know what you think. Give us any questions, opinions you want us to discuss on the show. We're happy to do that. And we will speak to you next time on You Name It, We Say It.
hasta mañana.